Philip Otega Okongo Gwoke Chandaware Owuya Odoma Twa Hitalamorwa Sule. Most people call me Phil. All of us have had a conversation with either someone younger or older than yourself, and it feels like you're speaking a different language. 10,000 baby boomers every day turn age 65. As millennials were coming up, most of their experience was they were like little consultants. What can we help you understand about the people that you're working with to continue to that great work? And of all the conversations that I've had with young professionals, I've yet to meet the person that says to me, Phil, when I wake up in the morning, I ask myself, who can I disrespect today?
Without further introduction, Phil.
Thank you, Tony. The topic of generations impacts every aspect of business. It's relevant to every member in an audience, from the boomer who's been in their industry for over 30 years to the Gen Xer who's in their first week on the job. We help all the generations get a better understanding of who they're working with, who they're talking to, who their customer is, who their new employees are, and give them ideas on how they can all work better together. Every one of us at one point or another have had a conversation with someone who's either older or younger than yourself, and before long it feels like you're speaking an entirely different language. And what I want to do today is give you some ideas to interpret or speak the language of the next generation of your employees so that you can build those bridges and build a strong, cohesive team. I have a love of history. I've always been curious about what's gone on in the past. And with this topic in particular, I get to now connect those moments in history with how it's shaped different generations over time and tell it in a way that the story comes to life for them. What we're talking about really are the events and conditions that shape us during our formative years. If you're a boomer and I were to bring up the subject of NASA, and I were to say, during your teen years, what was probably the most significant moment or memory that you have about NASA?
Landing on the moon.
Yeah, Neil Armstrong landing on the moon. If I bring up the subject of NASA to my Gen Xers, and I say, think back to your formative years, what's the most important memory that you think of with NASA? Challenger explosion. So here you got the same institution, right? The same organization, NASA. And you talk to one generation about it, sense of pride, euphoria, excitement. You talk to another generation about it, and the most outstanding memory is very dismal. I love to tell a great story, and I love to see an audience relate to the content, the information, and get them laughing. I see people laughing from the CEO of a company right down to the intern who's only been there for a few days. Sometimes we get locked into certain mindsets. I'll give you an example of what I mean. An 8-year-old kid came to his dad and said, Dad, how come the icon for my movie app is a picture of a bunk bed? He has no reference point for film. Audiences not only have a fun time, but they also have those important aha moments. This isn't another boring keynote presentation. This is an interactive conversation where we're using things like commercials, pop culture, music trivia. We create opportunities for there to be discussion in the room so that we get people out of their seats and really into the generational discussion. When you started your careers and you got to the office and the boss looked at you and said, jump, what was the right answer? How high? Exactly. Fast forward to today, young professionals come to the office, the boss says, jump, what might you hear? Why? Why should I jump? Let me see you jump. Now, if you come from a traditionalist mindset, this does not go over very well. The customization process is an important part of everything we do. I've had the opportunity to speak to literally hundreds of clients, and what I've come to realize is no two companies or organizations are exactly alike. And so how could I ever deliver the same presentation and be effective? I've got to design it around them. And one of the most important questions in your industry is safety. Are we keeping our people safe? And so they had just conducted a month-long study of the top 3 safest power companies across America. And they were reporting out what were they doing differently that they had that high safety rating. And I was fascinated to find out that the number one thing that they did was they built relationship between their leadership and the linemen. You see, because you have all these rules and these regulations that come down, they're designed to keep people safe, but when the linemen felt like leadership actually cared about them personally, they were more inclined to follow those rules because these people know me by name, they know my family, and they care about me. As a speaker and a student of other speakers, one of the things that pains me is when I get great information but aren't giving any tools on what to do with it. So throughout our sessions and at the end of every presentation, we're going to make sure our audience members walk away with actionable tips and tools that they can use the very next day. Much like they wouldn't keep a phone any more than 2 or 3 years, the reason for that is that phone starts to become obsolete. There's new technology that my old phone can't handle. And that mindset is creeping in the way that they look at their employment. If I stay at this company for any more than 2 or 3 years, I might become obsolete. Many of our clients have found that, you know what, within our organization, there are tons of great opportunities. So what they do is they say, okay, here at the co-op, there's continual things that you can be learning, so let me create constant upgrade opportunities within the co-op. You don't have to go look for something new elsewhere, and from the little time that I've spent here in these sessions, and I'm hearing about the stuff that you have taking place both internationally and locally, there's lots of great opportunities, but you need to highlight them.